Okay, we just got back from Creed 3. Connor, what is the plot of Creed 3?
Creed 3 is the first Creed movie that doesn't have anything to do, or the first Rocky movie to not have anything to do with Rocky. Disappointingly. Creed 3 again stars Michael B. Jordan, who sees his old friend Dame get out of prison after 15 years for a crime that he committed while defending Creed, and Adonis feels guilty and is living a pampered life of luxury because his wife's a famous music producer and he's a famous boxer. And then Dame wants to challenge him to a fight and rigs some shit to happen so that he fights the champion and wins. And then after winning, him and Creed get in an anime duel. That's the story. So Aiden, what did you think of Creed 3?
It's okay. It's alright. Walked out a little disappointed. Dame just isn't all that well established, I guess, or the conflict isn't.
I think he's established enough. I think the problem is the resolution is too quick.
Yeah, because Dame feels abandoned by Creed because Creed didn't write him in prison because his mom was hiding the letters Dame sent from him. And also, he kind of just ran away from it. And he feels guilt about that, and Dame is pissed. And instead of talking, they yell at each other and punch each other. And then, things seem kind of tense, and they have some tense moments. And then Creed gets on TV and says, "I challenge you." And then he fights, and the fight is not very good. It's a little overdone and under choreographed. I think the first couple minutes of it's pretty good, but then it kind of they try to do some fancy shit where the stadium morphs into a jail cell, and they're trying to tackle his guilt for abandoning his friends, but they kind of forget to make the fight good for a little bit. And there's really no tension because this story, one of the great things about boxing stories is that you can have the good guy lose. And, he can grow and change. And in this movie, Creed doesn't really have an arc. He feels guilty about abandoning Dame. And then they box. And then he says, "I'm sorry." And Dame says, "Yeah, I forgive you, even though I was really pissed about it for 20 years. And they say, and that's it. It just kind of, the fight needed to be better. The fight that they establish, the story doesn't properly end if Dame wins, so the tension is kind of lost there. Because Creed has to win for the story to resolve. And so the tension's kind of lost there, because boxing is one of the few genres where the good guy can just flagrantly lose.
Right, look at the first Rocky, the first Creed.
And here, the story, there's no way that this story concludes if Dame wins. That sucks the tension out. They get a little too wacky and fancy with the final fight. And
dare I say the final fight felt a little rushed too?
Yeah, there's a lot of shit going on in the first half, establishing their relationship. Probably the first 2/3, and then he gets on TV and he says, "Let's fight," and then they fight. There's a 5-minute montage, and then they fight.
Right.
I don't understand why Creed's mom died.
That was literally pointless.
I know that it was the catalyst for Creed to talk to his wife about Dame, but at the same time, he could have just done that without the cheap death in the middle there. It doesn't really contribute to the story. It just feels like they realized that there wasn't enough of an emotional punch
It's also really
the
predictable
guilt
because like
storyline.
5 minutes in, he's like, "Mom, you might randomly die later in this movie," and then she's
You
like,
should live with us so you don't randomly die of a stroke in the middle of the movie. And then she's like, no, I'll be fine, dear. And she dies randomly in the middle of the movie. Yeah, I mean, I think it's well shot, even though I don't like the shooting on the final fight. I think it gets a little too fucking weird. But I think, like, it's well shot. There's good music in it. Everyone's doing their best acting. They're doing fine. I do like that this movie continues the Rocky legacy of the star taking over to direct the movies as weird vanity projects.
That is what this was.
But yeah, I don't know. The fight doesn't have a lot of tension. I don't think it's rushed. It's a little clunky around the edges. The emotional guilt story doesn't carry enough weight, and the dead mom is just kind of a janky afterthought tacked onto it. And that's not to say it's bad. It's good. I just kind of came out of it disappointed because I think Creed is like probably the best boxing movie. I like that one a lot. This is pretty weak. It's, I don't know. Connor, what'd you think of Creed 3?
Creed 3, pretty much a lot of what you said I agree with. I thought it was pretty middling. For one, I think Jonathan Majors should have been established as a better threat. Jonathan Majors seems to be a pretty decent actor and an intimidating villain that is written like shit in all of his movies. Like, people are like, but what about Jonathan Majors? He's so dope. It's like, Jonathan Majors would be dope if it wasn't for shallow writing.
Dude, I can't believe Creed took 12 rounds to beat him down when Paul Rudd kicked his ass in like 10 seconds.
That's what I'm saying. Here's what they should have done during the montage instead of just having he trains and he's a dick. Maybe have him building up his own career where you see like little cheating things. So maybe it's like, I know this might not be realistic, but Creed is training and maybe he goes through 2 or 3 boxing matches. I know that boxing matches are typically like 6 months apart for people at least, because you got to train and recover from just getting your ass beat for 2 hours. but maybe show him like get in a couple more fights, show that he's truly like a ruthless contender, and stack up the odds against Michael B. Jordan more than he wins the first fight against the champion because he kind of cheated and then he got some good shots at the end.
Yeah, like,
and then he doesn't even cheat in the final fight.
In the first fight, he's like kicking the guy.
Dirty as hell.
In the first fight, he's like kicking the guy in the knees, and then in the second fight, he just
fights fair.
He just fights there. He just does.
Decided he's gonna fight fair in the anime battle of the world, the anime world battle. Yeah, and like you said, the mom dying was a bit of an ass pull. Like, it doesn't get re-explored after her death. Like, it's like he's like, okay, now I'll talk to my wife about Dame, and then, but it's not like he gets knocked down in the final fight, and while he's on the ground, he hears his mom's voice, like, never give up or some shit. You can pull a clip from, like, the first 2 movies or some shit that make it extra juicy, you know, an archival sound clip, and then be like, never give up, Creed.
You know,
and then he stands up and he punches Jonathan Majors super hard. Like, give the mom, if you're gonna kill off the mom, which was super obvious, I literally called it 2 minutes into the movie, do something with it, you know?
You know what this movie needed?
And I didn't mesh with the final battle, how it was set up.
This movie needed a fight in the middle of the movie where Jonathan Majors beats the fuck out of Creed.
Right.
And then really Creed gets back up to beat him. But now he beats up some guy.
At least a sparring match or something.
He beats up some guy. And then Creed beats his ass at the end of the movie.
Yep. That's how it happened. Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I really don't have a ton of problems with the movie. but the problems that are there are glaring enough to kind of fuck with me. I didn't like how the final battle was shot. I understood it stylistically. To each their own, because I'm sure some people would like how this was shot at the end, and if that's your opinion, I don't think the movie is. I could see how stylistically it would work for some people. For me, it personally didn't work. Seeing the Spider-Man Mysterio scene from Spider-Man 2 for the MCU.
It feels weird because fucking Creed 1 got a little stylized during the last fight where everything goes dark in the last round. And that's, that worked there. And here there's something off about it that just does not click.
Right. I don't know. So Aiden, would you recommend Creed 3?
Yeah, I guess. I'm mixed on it, but I do like it. I'm just a little disappointed, but, boxing movies are a rarity. I think it's pretty decent, but not nearly as good as the first two.
Right.
Yeah, it's a light recommend. It's one of those things, if you like the boxing movies, you're gonna like it. I like it enough, but I'm a little disappointed, so light yes. What about you? Would you recommend Creed 3?
Yeah, I'd recommend Creed 3. It's not perfect. It's the weakest of the 3 Creed movies. Far from the weakest Rocky franchise film.
Oh yeah.
Because a lot of those Rockies are kind of cheeks after the first one.
Yeah.
And there's exceptions, like Rocky 4 is epic. Probably not in the best ways. It's dumb epic.
Yeah,
But it's far from the worst in the Rocky franchise. The Creed franchise has a level of prestige to it that I think holds good. I don't think any of the Creed movies are bad, this one included. I just have my fair share of issues with it, which holds it from hitting the heights of the first two. So yeah.
That's pretty much where I am.